just like Christopher Columbus, we set sail from Spain, where neither of the hometown boys failed to give any other people anything to cheer about. Now the grid packs up to get to the chopper and make their way to Austria. It's lights out and away we go for episode 147 of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. All right, Ian, we are back with another 2-for-1. Obviously, the first part of the 2-for-1. We're going to talk about Spain. Did it live up to the not expectations?
Yes, I think. I think it did not live up to expectations.
I think it did more than I expected when it came to like the battle for first. I didn't think it was going to be actually that kind of close. So actually somewhat surpassed my expectations, I would say.
One of those races where it was like, thanks to Lando for like getting pole. You're like, oh, what's he gonna do? And then when George was leading after the first lap, I got excited to be like, we're gonna mix it up here a little
What's
bit,
up?
crazy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, after that, I think there was one change, I believe, in the qualifying order to the race finish, but it didn't feel like it completely. Like you know that meme where the guy's like on a rake and he steps on it, and,
Uh,
and then he's like does a flip on the rake, and then like he ends up still
oh, it
getting.
keeps hitting in more and more rakes. Yeah.
It was just like that's like what normal, but it was like a pretty sick way to get to the basically the same result except for Max winning instead of Lando.
So you're saying in the top 10, only one change?
I think two changed. I think Max and Lando switched, and I think somebody
Okay.
put down.
I know I know Albon switched from starting from the pits to passing that teammate, so that was huge too. So that could have been the other one.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just battle, dude. Just freaking Williams battling. It's a great day for Williams, huh?
they're killing
Uh,
it.
I bet they're gonna be pretty proud of that, huh? All right, let's get into our podcast. Like I said, we have a 2-for-1. I'm gonna start with our hot lap recap, our winners and losers of the Spanish Grand Prix. Then we got our race gambling predictions recap, country fun facts, two truths and a lie, the Austrian Grand Prix predictions and gambling. Lot of things on the docket. Let's get to it. All right, starting with our hot lap recap. Here I go again, trying to tell myself and the listeners that even though Max pulled out another victory, it was a fun watch and gives me hope for the rest of the season. Helmut Marko even admitting that there really isn't a gap between car performance between Red Bull and McLaren, but rather Max is just better than Lando. A fight we'll get used to seeing more and more for the rest of the year. Lewis gets back in familiar territory by making it up onto the podium, just unfamiliar in 2024, as this was his best finish all year, and Mercedes seems to have finally figured out their multi-year issues with their car. Ferrari not only needs to figure out the pace of their car, but may need some couples counseling for the drivers as well. And finally, it looks like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney do it again, give fans of a bottom tier sports team into something to cheer about, with both drivers making it into Q3 on Saturday and both scoring points on Sunday. And that does it for our hot lap recap. Let's get on to winners and losers. Okay, hot lap recap's done. My winners for the Spanish Grand Prix, kind of said it before, the fans. Like we said, Max winning. We have seen, though, in the past 4 weeks, 4 different teams take pole, which has not happened in 12 years. So it does show that like there's less disparity in the sport that we've seen in quite some time. Hopefully, we're going to continue to see a little bit of mix-ups. Hopefully, we start seeing a little bit of more mix-up on Sundays as well. We've seen a little bit about that compared to the last couple of years. Even with this win, Max does seem to be on top of his game to pull off the win. Almost as strong as a Red Bull, and only winning by 2.2 seconds rather than like what we're typically expected to see, like a 20-second victory. While the Drivers' Championship seems all but wrapped up again before summer break, we may have a battle in constructors if Max continues to be like the only one bringing substantial points every week. Other winner is going to be Mercedes, a second consecutive 3-4 finish for the Silver Arrows, sets them to what seems to be like the third best team on the grid over the past few weeks. My other winner is going to be, and my last winner is going to be Alpine. Started this year kind of the laughing stock at the beginning of the season, getting rid of like half their garage. Now has Pierre Gasly scoring points in his last 3 races, matching the team's best result of the season with a 9th place finish, and then followed by Ocon right behind him in 10th. This double points finish was enough to move them past Haas into 7th place. If they can keep this up and trick Sainz into going French, they may look back on 2024 as being an actual success.
I love, yeah. I mean, you can't be all it takes. Sometimes you got to like wrestle the cage or rattle the cage a little bit
Uh-huh.
to get the get the beast going. And those beasts in Pierre, Gasly, and Esteban Ocon definitely are unlocked right now. It seems. Going into Canada, I think it was kind of a nightmare for them after the Monaco incident, and now here they are. They're just out
Um,
there scoring points.
I mean, at the beginning of the season, like even if we're like, hey, going into the summer break, they're going to be 7th place, like, and kind of moving up a little bit. It seems like a little bit of traction even going forward. I would have said something major would have happened, but it's kind of been like a slow, steady burn, honestly, the past month or so.
It's got to be nice to be an Alpine fan. Yeah, it's way better.
Whoa,
Yeah, wait, you're right. You're right.
whoa, all right.
Oh, call a timeout. It's got to be nice to be an Alpine fan the last 3 weeks.
All right, yes, yeah, it's all relative, right? Yeah. Any other winners that I may have missed?
You said Mercedes, but specifically Lewis Hamilton, first podium of the season. Good for him. He felt like he got robbed last week, so it was good to see him get on that podium step this week. Also had Alpine, and then McLaren. McLaren has a race-winning car. I
Yeah.
think leads into one of my losers that I don't want to say, Lando Norris. Um, I
Oh,
think, I mean, like he could have won that race. He could have. I think he
yeah.
could have won that race.
You know
Um,
what I was interested or kind of surprised about when they kind of veered from the pit stop strategy, like they're like, "Hey, Max is going in. I'm going to stay out there." The announcers were, I mean, basically being like, "This is not a good move at all." The entire time, just like, "Yeah, like I know they got to try something else, but like I don't know if this is the right move." I think it actually ended up being like a pretty smart, savvy move. The fact that like he was technically the hunter, the bat, like the last 10 laps with fresher tires. I think they had to try something different. I think I mean, it was close to working out, but the way they made it seem like it was like, this is over. Like this was a foolish mistake. And I don't think it was as bad as they led off to be.
no, we even had the AWS potential striking distance for like the 1 or 2 laps left in the race,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, maybe,
Hey,
maybe.
yeah.
But yeah, closing that gap from I think it was like a 7 second gap that he closed over the course of like 12 laps down to like a 2 second gap. But that's what we can hope for. That's what you
Yeah.
have to be. That has to excite you if you want to be a fan of the sport.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I don't care who the team is, even if it's not my team that's competing. I want competition at the top. I'm glad we got to see it. I don't care who it was.
Yeah. But no, that was all my winners. Let's talk about the who is a hers.
All right, my losers. The first 2 losers I actually didn't really have to change from last week. I just kept those in there. Perez has not seen the podium in almost 2 full months, with his last one being a third place podium in China on April 21st. So it has been quite some time since we've seen him at the top of the grid ending a race.
Yeah. And this one I'll say like it I mean it's not it wasn't like completely his fault because he did like sacrifice part of his he sacrificed his last go around to give Max the toe in
Yeah.
qualifying. And so that he was like, yeah, P8, but that was like for the team. But you would think in that car he would do better than a P8 finish. You have to assume maybe Red Bull and McLaren are like closer than people, want to admit, but I think like, Red Bull and the guy, the Aston and the Ferraris, I think there's a
Yeah.
notable gap there.
Yeah. Now you would have assumed that he would have made a couple places up on the grid. Yeah. Kind of a surprise there. All right. My next loser, like I said from last week, is going to be Ferrari. Talked a little bit about this in the hot lap recap. Just didn't look competitive all weekend. Friday didn't look great. Saturday or Friday, I guess, didn't look great. Sunday didn't look great as well. Not only that, tensions flared as they made contact. The frustration continued off the track as they had a kind of a heated exchange after the race. Leclerc kind of like rushing up to Carlos, getting a little, the hand motions. You always see the Italians kind of hand motions, the Monegasque hand motions, I guess, for him. Leclerc saying Sainz was trying to do too much at his home race. Sainz kind of saying I thought it was a little petty to say he's always complaining about something like this is just typical Charles Leclerc. I didn't do nothing wrong. Just doesn't seem like, as a Ferrari fan, not too much to look forward to at the moment. So to make matters worse, Ferrari strengths have been this year a traditional street track. Monaco obviously got the win. We do not see a traditional street track until September in Singapore. So something's got to change until then.
Yeah, I mean, the vibes don't seem good. It seems
No.
like they're at a bit of a fork in the road where it's just like the boys either gotta make up and make nice, or eventually it's gonna be, if they keep on this track after summer break, there's gonna be a fist fight. So that's what I'm rooting for.
Oh, I
And
bet. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of rooting for it too. If we're gonna be bad, let's get crazy bad.
yeah, way better to be really bad than just a little bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always love watching NASCAR fights off the track. Let's get Formula One. Let's get them a little grimy, a little dirty, huh?
Absolutely.
All right, my next loser is going to be Williams. Also, kind of like we talked about. It's a car issue when Albon is finishing just ahead of his teammate in 18th place. Both drivers were unfortunate even before the race started when Logan was given a 3-place grid penalty before the race started, pushing him back from 20th place on the grid to 20th place on the grid. And then Albon starting from the pit lane due to modifying his car under the Parc Ferme conditions. So, yeah, I mean, just think they also said track not good for our car either. So kind of going into it, not good expectations, but I think they were even not with the good expectations, we kind of it did go well.
Our expectations were low, but holy shit, it went
I didn't
bad.
know it could go this low.
Um, I think if you get a whatever place grid penalty, call it a 3-place grid penalty, and you qualify last, you need to start the equivalent of the cars back
Mm, yeah,
24.
yeah.
You
I
should
think that's a
start at
great idea.
24.
Yeah. Just
Uh,
to kind of make that a highlight. It's you did wrong.
yeah, you
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
you have to be yeah, you have to be chastised in some way. And what a more embarrassing way. They get on, they're all lined up, lights are about to go off, and then Logan gets a message "Hey, can you throw it in reverse? Can you
Yeah, you
back
went way too
up?"
far. Yeah. All right, my last actually bad is going to be Aston Martin. No points again for the second time in 3 races for either driver. I feel like they are just in complete no man's land, above the rest of the pack, and not even close to the top 4 guys. So they're just chilling.
There's a if you listen to this podcast, there's a bet that I have really grown fond of, which is the winner without Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and Aston Martin. I
Mhm.
think we can probably take Aston Martin off
Yeah,
of that now. I think
yeah,
the last several races, it's been kind of a non-starter
yeah.
for non-competition. Very tough to see. There should be, I pay for F1 TV. I'm a good fan. Pay for F1 TV. I would pay for an F1 TV Plus or exclusive just to
Hmm.
be. I want a camera that follows around Lawrence Stroll, and I get to tune in just
Mm.
like I tune into the drivers ride along cams. I want to tune in and see just facial expressions. I think
Mhm.
that would really give me the poor kid in me wants to see that rich guy struggling, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that we could probably have him mic'd up. I don't think he probably says politically correct stuff when things are going bad like this. He
Oh,
doesn't
dude.
seem like the guy that is gonna hold his tongue on some fucked up things to say.
Yeah, yeah, if he was in the cancel realm, people who could get canceled, he would get canceled. But I think he's
Yeah.
outside of that stratosphere a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got the resources to make sure things don't get leaked.
He controls the internet.
All right, that does it for my losers. Any that I had left off there?
Only bonus one that I had was Nico Hulkenberg. I bet on Nico Hulkenberg to be in the points because I thought he was due.
No.
Finished 11th place. And as I was looking, I was like, bummer, lost another bet. Let's check out. Like, hasn't Nico been pretty close to the points? How many out of the last seven
Oh,
races, how many times do you think he's finished in P11?
I've got it. I mean, it's got to be around 4 or 5.
Five, and one of them
Yeah.
in the last seven was a DNF. So it would have been six
Oh,
probably if he didn't DNF. But five races in P11, just so tough, man. You're right there. That's why we need these new rules where it's going to give points down to 12th place. That way, I've thought about that more. The more I think about that, the more I want that to happen. Like,
I
give the
agree.
top middle or middle of the pack teams like something to actually fight for instead of just one measly point. Like, make it so that I want Alpine to have like it seems like they should be more rewarded for getting
Yeah.
like a double points finish than 3 points.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they have now 8 points on the season, with Gasly scoring 3 weeks in a row, which is just wild.
But yeah,
Uh,
just Nico. I think that's my only loser.
All right, great. All right, that does it for our winners and losers. Let's move on to our race and gambling predictions recap. All right, going into our race and gambling predictions recap. I did pretty well this weekend. I had 3 gambling picks and I hit 2 of them. So Max Winner, minus 210, 2 units on that. And then Sargent to finish last. So I hit my first and last place guesses. That takes me up to about 8.24 units on the season. So finally stopped the bleeding, got some decent points this weekend.
Yeah, I lost both of mine. Hulkenberg out of the points, and then Red Racing Bulls. Where did the Racing Bulls go, dude? Both of them were out. I think both of them were out in Q1.
I was shocked. I mean, my one that I missed was Yuki top 8 because I was like, oh, they have all these upgrades. They're already looking good. This is just like plus on a plus. I guess plus plus means minus.
Yeah, I don't remember math very well, but I
That's
think.
F1 math.
Um, yeah, so bad on the gambling, and then we both did bad on the predictions. Didn't get anything right, so we stay
No.
at 6 points for me, 5 points for you going into Austria.
Perfect. We're going to move on to the second part of our 2 for 1s. We're in Austria. We've made it. Let's do our 2 truths and a lie. Ian, I'm going to go first. I think you went first last week. I'm doing all right in gambling. We're about neck and neck in the race predictions. You're kicking my ass on these 2 truths and a lie. I got to switch up the mojo a little bit. I don't think this is the week, but I'm going to try my best. All right, here I go. Austrians are known to take Tyrolean detox baths, which involve immersing the body in fresh fermenting manure, which acts to exfoliate the skin and builds the immune system.
Shit bass. Yeah, true. Okay, go ahead.
While Austria is very small, it shares borders with 8 other countries.
Okay.
And in Austria, it is considered bad luck if you share a toast with someone and do not stare deeply into each other's eyes before you drink.
I like 1 and 3. I'm gonna say 2 is the lie.
Wrong.
I'm gonna say 1 is the lie.
That's correct. It is like hay baths. Hay.
Oh.
Yeah. So not manure baths. The countries that Austria borders: Germany, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Good job. You got me. Mine, I didn't want to just go straight Austria. So, what's the most famous thing to come out of Austria? Red Bull.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
second most famous thing, Red Bull. Mine are going to be pretty Red Bull specific. All right, fact number 1. Red Bull's first foray into sporting events was the Dolominton, commonly known as the world's toughest team relay race. This event combines running, paragliding, whitewater kayaking, and mountain biking. So it essentially recreates a Bond chase scene, James Bond chase
Yeah,
scene,
nice.
to the picturesque tile mountains of Austria. Fact number two, in 2009, Red Bull unveiled a highly concentrated variant of its drink called Red Bull Energy Shot, supplied in 2 ounce or 60 milliliter for our European fans cans. Despite its popularity in Europe, a red flag was thrown when German food regulators discovered trace amounts of ingredients that are commonly used to make methamphetamine in the beverage, causing the drink to be taken off the shelves in 2011.
Nice.
All right, number three, fact number three. Red Bull has a long list of athletes, including Tanya Sachdev, who is an Indian chess player, as well as a big video game streamer. So it's not just athletic performance Red Bull sponsors, also chess and video game streamers. Which one is a lie?
I'm gonna go with the last one.
The last one is true.
I'm gonna go with the first one.
The first one is also true.
Dang it, dude. I mean, I heard that meth and I was like, I feel like drinks get away, yeah, some sketchy at the beginning. Maybe when I heard 2011, I was like, maybe that's a little too late for that. Like they would have stepped in a little earlier.
It was actually cocaine, not methamphetamine. Just
Yeah,
trace
that
amounts
checks
of
out.
cocaine. German food regulators were like, "Hey, this has cocaine in it," and they're like, "Oh, our bad."
You
Like,
can't do that?
yeah, it's like, okay,
What?
hand up, our fault on that one. My bad.
Dang, dude. That was the good old days, huh? I wonder
Yeah,
if you know how like old Four Locos, people are still like hoarding them and selling them. I think
yeah,
people have like hoarded old Red Bull cans that have that cocaine in them.
sure, dude. Little energy shots. It's just like a 2 ounce shot. So
Nice.
they
Like a 5 hour energy.
probably like a probably like a 45-minute energy.
Yeah, yeah. But way more fun.
All right, good stuff on country fun facts. Let's move on to our Austrian Grand Preview. Before we talk about that, though, we did get a sponsorship. It's more of like a PSA message from the British Grand Prix. So, this part of the podcast, the Austrian Grand Preview, is brought to you by the British Grand Prix. Recently, it has come to the light that the Grand Prix held in Great Britain has had a problem selling tickets for the upcoming Grand Prix in historic Silverstone because, as everyone knows, Formula One is becoming a little bit too predictable. The British Grand Prix would like to assure fans and the FIA that none of this is their fault. You've seen it yourself. This is what happens when there are cars on the grid that are simply leagues ahead of others. We reiterate that this has nothing to do with the exorbitant prices that we are attempting to charge for entry into Silverstone. It's all those pesky Red Bulls' fault. We want you to know that we've heard the criticisms, that people aren't buying tickets to the Grand Prix because it costs half a month of the average rent in the UK to go see cars for one day. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Red Bull. Your utter dominance has absolutely blown up this competition. It has nothing to do with us charging what we charge. We want to acknowledge that we understand that there have been 4 different pole sitters in the last 5 races, and the Constructors' Championship is far closer than we anticipated it. We hear you, and we acknowledge the reasons against our argument. We do, however, want you to consider the other reasons that we are not selling an acceptable number of tickets for the British Grand Prix. One being too much peace in the Middle East, a lack of inflation, too much political and racial harmony, global cooling, income equality, an overabundance of fresh water, and of course, COVID. We ask you to kindly respect the expertise of the experts at this time, and to please do your part as a loyal Formula One fan, releasing any inclination to bring up facts that you see as blatant and obvious, and open up those wallets wider than the gap that Sergio Perez has to whoever is in P3 of the Drivers' Championship. We haven't checked recently. So thank you to the British Grand Prix. Good to have them out there. I guess, yeah, people aren't buying tickets to the British Grand Prix, but it's not the British Grand Prix's fault. It's everyone else's.
That's just unfortunate, you know? Like they evolve Grand Prix to deserve it and to deserve because they're bringing more than racing there, and that is why these tickets, honestly, it's a good value if you look at it.
It's a steal. Half of
Yeah,
what the regular rent costs in the UK.
yeah. I think yeah, I don't know. Like if I were in UK, I would have probably bought in a couple extra just for fun.
It's all about supporting what you want to
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Uh,
Support the sport you love.
yeah, the poor sport you love, the poor old
Yeah,
guys over there.
yeah. They need it more than the fans.
But yeah, so thanks, British Grand Prix. Now let's turn our sights to the Austrian preview here. At the Red Bull Ring, First off, it's Danny's 250th race at Formula One Grand Prix this weekend, and it is at the Red Bull Ring, his former home. They call it the Red Bull Ring. Scholars maintain that it's because it's a big old ring and it's got a big old bowl in that ring. So that's what the experts say. But as far as the track's concerned, very short track, 4.3 kilometers means we get a lot of laps. So 71 laps in this race. It's built in the scenic, very, very like beautiful Styrian mountains, fast track, flowing track. There's like every corners, most corners are pretty high speed, and then long straights. So kind of like underrated in this course is how much elevation change. So it's like a 12.3% elevation grade. So if you put on the treadmill, 12%, that's what the drivers are racing at. Doesn't feel like a lot, but over a long period of time, or a long like stretch, it's a pretty big incline. Pretty sharp turns. So because you're going so fast, you're gonna have some like long sweeping turns, except for ones where it is like kind of almost a 90-degree cut, or even like shorter than a 90-degree cut. So it's pretty hard on the tires. Red Bull obviously are always going to be favorites here just because of the fans. It's going to be as orange as it is in the Netherlands. And then track specific 3 DRS zones, only 10 corners. And yeah, overall I think like it should be the teams like that we've seen. There's not going to be too much. I think Ferrari are probably at that like third place, McLaren, Red Bull up there. Mercedes, depending on these upgrades that they have, it's going to be interesting to see like what everyone's going to come with the very, very like low downforce here, just because 3 DRS zones, you want to be able to pass in those like, it's a friendly track for passing. So that's what we have coming up. And then as far as weather's concerned, it's going to be hot, probably around 90 degrees Friday and Saturday, potential rain on Sunday, but it might not happen until later in the day. So it should just be kind of a hot track. Track should be boiling, hot weekend, and see how the cars do. We'll wait for rain for another race, probably in England. Always rains there.
Always rains in England. Yeah.
People love how much it rains.
That's probably why they're not getting ticket sales. They're like, oh, I don't want to get rained on.
They're like, this stupid weather, man.
Dang, dude, I would have definitely gone if it wasn't so rainy here all the time.
Yeah, so there's your Austrian Grand Prix, some fun points to talk about. And let's wrap up the episode with our predictions and gambling for this Austrian Grand Prix.
All right, I'll start with our gambling. I don't like this week's, but because unfortunately, I'm going to rely on one of them with Sergio Perez. He's got to figure it out. Red Bull and McLaren drivers to finish in the top 6, plus 250. So they have a little bit of wiggle room. It's not like the all 6 have to hit it. Plus 250, 1 unit there. I'm going to go with Guan Yu Zhou. Had a pretty good race actually last weekend. He said he's starting to get a much better feel of the car. He said the car is kind of moving exactly close to exactly what he wants it to do. So I'm going to do Guan Yu Zhou over Valtteri Bottas, plus 160, 1 unit there. And then I'm going to go continue this trend. I hit it last week. Max, the race winner, minus 160 this week. So last week was minus 210. It seems like the bookies are going to say that this is going to be maybe a little bit more close of a race with Lando Norris kind of plus 250 right behind them. Minus 160, 1 unit there.
I also had Max winning the race. I doubled down on it. I do want to hear though, so both Red Bull and McLaren drivers have to finish in the top 6?
Yep.
That first one? Okay. I like that, but there is a wild card there. Sergio Perez and then Oscar kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, Oscar didn't have the best day last week either. But I don't know. I mean,
okay, good stuff. I am going big because I need to start. I'm getting a little antsy, kind of getting close to 0, and so you're always the more desperate you get, the more you should bet. That's what.
yeah,
How the saying.
yeah.
So I have Max to win. That's 2 units at minus 160. I have Lance Stroll, top 10 finish. He is bound to figure it out. Plus 135. That's 1 unit there. Max fastest lap, 1 unit at plus 150. And then is there going to be a safety car? Yes. 1 unit minus 200.
All right, dude. You are going big. I like it.
I felt like I had to do a like a big one,
Uh-huh.
like something in the minus,
Yeah.
and um,
Just a safety precaution, you know?
yeah, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
50, it's like a it's like a 50-50 shot.
You're a gambler, dude. You're a shark.
So yeah, I am going with 5 units down.
Ooh,
You can win infinite money, but you can only lose the money you have.
I like that take. You need a slogan.
All right, and then lastly, let's move on to our race predictions. I think you went first last time, so I'll go first this time. Who doesn't finish? Lando Norris.
Whoa.
Driver of the day, Sergio Perez. What am I thinking when I write it down?
I like it, dude. It's psycho.
Douche of the day, Max Verstappen. Wild card prediction. So I put RB podium there, and I almost said out loud Red Bull podium. But I'm gonna say one of the racing bulls gets on the podium. Technically,
Sweet
they're
mercy.
roommates. Kind of.
Yeah, it's like their older brother some race.
Yeah, well, it's like their stepdad's family home.
Yeah. It's like I'm a part
Uh,
of this.
Fastest lap, Lewis Hamilton, and then 2 cars not to finish.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go with Danny Ricciardo does not finish at his, like you said, stepfather's race. Driver of the day, I'm gonna go with Charles. Ferrari figures it out. They do not do well with like slow corners. This doesn't have a ton of slow corners. Ferrari's gonna figure it out. Douche of the day, I'm gonna go with George Russell. Wildcard prediction: Alpine top 8, which would be their highest finish of the year. I think they're gonna continue to soar. I'm going to go with Lando, fastest lap, and 3 cars don't finish.
Love it. And there you have it. Easy twofer. Say goodbye to Spain. Say hello to Austria. We're in the thick of it right now before the summer break. Yeah, I'm. The good news is Barcelona's behind us. Like you always dread that
Mhm.
on the calendar. It's always coming up. That's going to be a boring one. Now we're on to the Red Bull Ring. At least it's going to be beautiful, even if it's not the most exciting race. But yeah, this is nice. We both bet on Max, so we can both root for a likely scenario here.
Yeah, I mean, I would be fine with losing it. One, I have less stake in that, so just separates the gap a little bit more, which is good. And then two, I'd like someone not named Max to win. So
It's true. Win-win all around.
yeah, I feel like I just nothing can go wrong for me.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, that's episode 147 of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. Appreciate everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the other side of the British Grand Prix.
See you assholes.
See you, assholes.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
I used to say I lived my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too.